Welcome everybody to our November 2021 Sacred Self-Healing forecast and discussion. My name is Jona Bryndis, as you all know, and I'm going to guide you through a brief review of October energies, and then we're going to look into the forecast and analysis of November energies. Yes, welcome. Thank you all for being here. To quickly look at how October energies went for you. It was quite an intense month, and it went by like nothing. I don't know about you guys, but there was so much that was happening in October that it almost felt like I couldn't keep up with it. And we're only at the 25th, so there is still more to come. Yeah, yes, I can see some things that happened to you. Many people report this. It's been quite a bit of a roller coaster month. Some things in regards to physical health. Yes, I've seen this a lot. Some things in regards to obviously some of the things that are it's just weaving through our collectives right now with some of the lockdowns that were predicted that actually happened, some of the mandates that were starting to be enforced. And obviously this, even if we prepare ourselves for these kind of things mentally, when they then arrive, it's always a different reality. And by the way, that will be quite prevalent here in November. So for me, you know, sometimes it's like, why am I even talking about it if it isn't really until it's actually there that people realize what that was. Some of the things that are coming to play here in this year, they are not really news to us, but it is quite shocking to see how they play out. And this theme of October, integrity, is going to weave through the next coming months as well. So that the whole process of re-evaluating, reassessing values, yeah, these really rapidly changing values here in our societies, that is has only started. And you see some of these things play out in regards to large companies. Okay, so this revelation, this continual reveal that will continue. Basically, we are in the middle of it, and there's a bit of a desensitization that is happening right now, which we need to be a bit careful about, because these are really, really important things. So the things that are coming forward right now aren't just flukes, guys. Those are things that have been there all along. And they have led to some of these the degradation of values that we can experience in our own lives, and you know, generally, not just politically, also in the business arena, in you know, anything ethics really, also education, you know, how the world works really. And so this is the part here that is really starting to transform now. Yeah. How did this play out for you personally in October? Does anybody want to share? What are some of these new insights that came forward for you in October?
Hey, Yona, it's Brian.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, for me, it was a constant theme of accepting what was going on, not ignoring it, but just kind of accepting things as they're going on. Accepting, praying, meditating, grounding, resetting.
Sorry for laughing. Yes, I hear
accepting,
you.
grounding, resetting, you know, it's like a
Yeah.
consistent cycle. And I'm not joking. I mean, literally, it's just been several times each day, actually.
Constant letting go in a way, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, for us, you know, who are actually able to verbalize this and know what to do, you know, let's not forget that. What you just described, you know, this letting go, grounding, clearing, centering, you know, including meditating, praying, you know, all these different things that we know we can do when things get overwhelming. Um, that helps us to balance, it helps us to harmonize. Most people don't know how to do that, and therefore, you know, things are just continually building, yeah, in other people, so that you know, that ability not only to see what is, but to have, yeah, what I often call energy management, to have the enough present moment awareness, all right, to say, oh, okay, I'm getting really, you know, imbalanced here right now. I'm getting really riled up. I'm getting really desperate. I'm getting really, you know, angry, yeah, and to realize that and to do something about that. Um, that's an ability. That's what we've worked for.
You know,
Yeah.
it's interesting. I mean, on one hand, it can sound kind of corny, but on the other hand, doing it so often, it's almost like the resetting, regrounding, accepting, um, yeah, blended into almost becoming a prayer into itself.
Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right, Brian. That's the reason why I modeled these energy prayers in the last month and a half. Yeah, for us to recognize. I mean, we can call it mantra, we can call it affirmation, we can call it invocation. It doesn't matter what you call it. It is something that we can hold on to. Yeah, sort of like a first aid, like a psychic first aid to not go nuts. That, if you're asking me, I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
this part will not be in the recording, right? This is how I see this. Okay. Yeah, because if you look around, you know, the only way to psychically, and I don't mean psychic, I mean psychologically, socially, behaviorally, and, you know, in that relationship with myself and, you know, the greater reality out there. Yes, if you don't know how to do these things that we are doing here, is to check out. And that's what's happening. This is what we are observing, guys. We are observing sort of a mass psychosis. You know, checking out. Just focusing on, you know, like what show I can watch today and, you know, like how to get through, how to get by. Yeah, this is how this degradation of values, how that happens. It's a survival mechanism. It's in times when things get more intense, all right, to stay present in those times in this way, as you just described it. That's a discipline, okay? That's something that's why I said earlier, this is what you've worked for. It is your tenacity, I want to say. Yeah, because there were often times where it wasn't so, it didn't seem to be that important to have that sort of spiritual grounding rod. Yeah, that yeah, we're no, you know, I can handle this, and we can, of course. Yeah, when we go through an emotional crisis or through a financial crisis or health crisis, then we remember that we need something, you know, beyond just sort of our ego reality. But for as long as as we can to follow that inner prompting, to really practice these things. Yeah, that's more than just a hunch, guys. That's something that you've worked for. And I don't know how else to say this, but in November, you will be able to see the fruits of your labor. Yeah. We may have all had ego reasons in the beginning to set out onto this journey. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, we wanted to be better at abundance, or oh, we wanted to be better at reading people, knowing when other people are not truthful, or we wanted to prevent sort of other people manipulating us, and so forth and so forth. So we all had kind of reasons that had to do with our inner child stuff, our karmic stuff, our karmic family stuff, you know, to overcome that, to get better at something. What you will find out in November is that there is more to that. Yeah, to come to that place, Brian, where you call this like a, well, second nature almost. Yeah, like your daily prayer. Yeah, this communication within, with your inner higher power. Okay, that's when you know what all this was for. Okay, because if a person doesn't have that, then they have nowhere to go. Then everything is external, and that can lead to, you know, psychotic breakdown, you know, like a psychological mental health condition where you literally lose it. Yeah, or to like just completely checking out. Yeah. So I want you to guys to really value that. That even just the fact that you know what to do, that you know how to do this with yourself, self-healing in its fullest form. Yeah. It may seem like, oh my God, it's so exhausting. Well, let me tell you, okay, when you check out, and some of us, you know, suffer from that a little bit. We go in and out and in and out. And when you go in and out, every time you go back in to reality, it shocks you. It's like a re-traumatizing of yourself. It's a lot easier to stay in reality. But to be able to do this without sort of psychically, psychologically taking a damage from it, we needed to practice these basics, yeah, of how to maintain a clear and free thinking, yeah, a clear heart, yeah, and a body, all right, that we can maneuver. Because if your nervous system overruns you, all right, you're not able to do anything anymore. Yeah, once these hardwires, these knee-jerk reactions take over, and you have no way to recognize that, oh, my nervous system is reacting here, I better, you know, take a few seconds to calm myself down. Yeah, that comes out of an insight that you guys have, namely, okay, this is my body reacting to outer things, and now it is affecting my emotions, and now it's affecting my frame of mind, and now it's affecting my energy, and now it's affecting my perception. Yeah, these connections that you can make. Yeah, that there was a cascade, so to speak, between outer things that are happening and inner states is what allows you to get through these kind of times, and not just, you know, survive it, but actually allows you also to thrive, because you can see through every challenge that you experience. either by contextualizing it in a karmic way, by contextualizing it in a sort of continued self-growth a way, you know, where you recognize, okay, this is something I've already worked through, but apparently now that I am growing, okay, I'm revisiting this. Yeah, this is a very common phenomenon. That's why this idea of ascension is very misleading, because it really isn't like that. It isn't like, you know, you do one thing one time and then you're through with it. Especially when it comes to karmic things, inner child things, which are typically also karmic things, yeah, and emotional processing and mental processing. Those are things that weave through all areas of your life. Okay, so you will, you know, encounter these say childhood attachments, you know, the way you deal with relationship issues, the way you deal with safety and so forth. You will encounter that on every sort of step along your road. Yeah, with every sort of growth step that you take, you're gonna, you know, be confronted with it again, except for it gets easier and easier as you go. Now, Brian, sorry I barged in there a little bit, but you obviously sort of illustrated to us sort of this continual, like, really needing to stay on top of things, right? But how are you coming out of this, or how are you standing in this now? What's your take? How do you contextualize this continual prayer?
That it's very important for me to do that. It's something that, to be honest, the past week and a half or so have been rather challenging, and so, uh, yeah, I think if I didn't have these tools that I've learned the past 5 years or so, you know, I think I could have been one of those guys checking out,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So it's made me grateful and appreciative for the most minute thing and the grandest thing. It's really interesting, but uh, it's also shown me the capacity that I truly relish myself, love myself,
Mm-hmm.
and to do this. And it's not like I'm doing it because it's a ritual or you're supposed to do it this way or something like that. It was something I just, yeah, I don't know. I guess I just reached into the toolbox, pulled out the tools that I've learned the past 5 years or so, and it just seemed the most natural thing to start applying them during
You
this
know what
time.
I hear, Brian? I hear that it has strengthened your sense of self. You said something really important.
Definitely, definitely.
You're doing this out of self-love. Yeah,
Yeah,
and we all know what that means.
yeah,
It means that this comes from a different place than, oh, like you said, like it's a ritual, or what the neighbors say, or that's what one is supposed to do in those cases, or whatever. No, this is coming out of sincere desire.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not being selfish or anything like that. You know.
Thank you for sharing that, Brian. I
Sure.
think it's important for all of us to really hear that. Yeah, to hear how, you know, when, let's say, push comes to shove, right? Yeah, when it's about the real big things in life, how these fancy techniques, whatever we look, however we see them, that they can become, you know, our rescue. Okay, they help us to contextualize what is happening better. They help us to remember. They help us to surrender. And they help us to recognize what we can do. Yeah. I, for myself, have a bit of a sort of fatalistic kind of attitudes when I experience a severe challenge, and I have experienced quite a few of them myself in October. I'm always willing to let go of everything, because I found that if I keep myself in that training, all right, not to succumb, it has nothing to do with succumbing or giving in or something like that. No, no, no. I look at what it is that I am resisting and what I am having a problem with, or what I am afraid of, or what it is that makes me angry. Yeah, and I investigate that, and I look at that, and I don't judge myself for being angry, or being sad, or wanting to call it quits, or anything like that. Instead, I just train myself to go a step deeper, to not just get stuck in my own resistance, yeah, and to look at what am I really resisting here, and what is this really about, yeah, what is it that I am so afraid of, what is it that makes me so angry, yeah, and then I ask myself, what kind of anger is that, is that an anger because of, there's something going on that feels really unjust, or is this an anger because I see as something like injustice that is done to others? There's this huge difference energetically between feeling angry because you feel unfairly treated, or you observe somebody else being treated unfairly, or is this an anger that has a sort of a slight destructiveness to it, where you immediately want to stop what is going on? Destructiveness doesn't necessarily mean negative. Destructive more in the sense of this inner impulse that comes forward, that this needs to stop. This needs to stop right now. Yeah. So I want you guys to understand that every emotion that can come up in you can have so many different meanings. Every emotional state is a whole microverse, yeah, of different nuances. And if we don't investigate that, yeah, we may get stuck in just our own judgments about it. Yeah, so desperation, for instance, I went through severe desperation this month of several things, mostly related to our pets. Our dog almost died. One cat is gone for 3 weeks, almost 4 weeks now. Um, I personally thought I was going to die. I was so sick, guys. Yeah, it's amazing that I could pull through with the daily prayer. And you learn something about yourself in those times. Yeah, when you look at, okay, what is the worst now that can happen, and you give it a meaning. It allows you to not seeking a sign. That's not what I mean. You give it a meaning. You give every minute of what you do, of what you express, yeah, of every state that you energize. You do this deliberately. You have no time to waste. That is the fundamental truth. Yeah. So this illusion that we could, win against death. Yeah, immortality. That's something that the ego is obsessed with. The human ego is the illusion. Okay, and when things that challenge us, when they happen, really what it means is that we get reminded of that mortality. We get reminded that, you know, every day is precious. Everything is precious as far as the 3D is concerned. Yeah, because the 3D has an expiration date on it. But that's now where, you know, in November, and this is, thank you again, Brian, for sharing that. In November, it's going to become even more evident that there's a greater reality in all its different expressions, okay? Because, you know, it's one thing, of course, when we are in a crisis or challenge to remind ourselves that we are not just a body, yeah, that we are a soul that has a physical experience. And so, you know, we don't really need to be afraid of, you know, sort of having to let go of the 3D because we know that there's more there. But, you know, our 3D life isn't an audition for the afterlife either. Okay, this is where a lot of people get into this sort of mindset that they have to be good, you know, here in 3D, so you know, that they have a good afterlife. That's not how this works either. There's a sort of an eternal record in us, and it's all about balance. All right, so whatever it is that we came here to work through, you know, if we've worked through it, you know, and this happens typically through these karmic things such as trauma and family issues and so forth, then we have liberated ourselves from this. And, you know, we can, but we don't have to. So that everything becomes voluntary. Yeah. And the more voluntary you become, the more you become aware of that you have a choice. Yeah. And this is the part that is sometimes difficult to understand, but the more we make everything a conscious choice, well, the more voluntary things become. So that's basically our practice. We're practicing letting go our whole entire life until the final moment of letting go, when we have to surrender our physical, the physical part of our existence. And what for? Not to have a better life in the afterlife, or not to having to come back again. No. From a soul self perspective, we come here voluntarily. Yeah. We want to come here. We want to experience that because there's something in that divine consciousness, yeah, that lives in us as this ability to tune into divine Wi-Fi. It shows us that we can link into that precious eternity, if you will, at all times. It's a matter of consciousness. It's not a matter of what happens. But it requires us to train that. And why is that here in 3D? That is, as soul selves, obviously, that's our normal state. But as 3D selves, yeah, we have to train that, because in the 3D reality, being human, you know, being this sort of wondrous, miraculous being here that has this fantastic body, okay, is perceived as a restriction, is perceived as a suffering, is perceived as a struggle. And so ultimately, the bigger purpose of life, the bigger reality of life, is to recognize and remember that we have that ability to transcend any kind of pain into something like love, self-love, love for divine beauty, love for love itself, love for the divine. That is something that I will call spiritual reality here in a few minutes when I do the forecast. We will become more aware of the spiritual reality of things. And as much as many of you have already sort of visited or started to navigate that reality or worked with it, as it is, as Brian so beautifully demonstrated for us, a whole other level. Yeah, when you are so challenged that you realize that you can find peace in that inner connection, in your spiritual reality. It can help you not only to overcome temporary overwhelmness, overwhelming feeling, desperation, or powerlessness. Not only can it help you to see through, yeah, or maybe even receive guidance as to maybe what needs to be changed or what you could do differently, or new perspectives, as I've sort of called this here for November, show you new perspectives. It can do more for you. It can literally allow you to feel who you are, who you truly are. And with it, bring a whole other level of peace to you. Namely, in the way that it alleviates this constant seeking, this constant feeling of something is missing, or I must not be there yet. I must not be good enough. I must, there must be something I'm not seeing. And that's why I can't really feel that connection with the divine. It alleviates us from that. And the way that happens is by simply signing up. The free registration. You can sign up for free to stand in your spiritual reality, guys. I don't know if this analogy worked. It's a free webinar. Yeah, that communication with the divine. And we all have that direct wire and that direct connection. We just got to ask for it. We just got to go do it. Yeah, and we got to do it because we feel that that's what we yearn, that that's what we truly want. We got to choose it, claim it, whatever you want to call this. You got to announce it. You got to say, okay, I'm here. I'm here. God, yeah, divine source, plant, I'm here. Hey, how are you? You're recognizing the spiritual reality of everything. You're recognizing that every living being, even rocks and elements and whatnot, that they are all part of a greater spiritual reality. And all that said, you guys all know me well enough. Simultaneous to 3D reality. Yeah. One does not exclude the other. That is when we can, or where we can find peace. When we realize, okay, every day is a day. It's just a day, but it is also a wondrous day. It just depends on what I do with it, what I make of it, how I show up, how I choose it to be. I can look at my life as a glass that's half full or half empty. I can look at my life through the perspective of scarcity and lack, or through the perspective of abundance and beauty. And those aren't just words, guys. That doesn't just sound good. That needs to be done. Then you can feel what these words mean. And those of you listening to this, or here right now, and who have also come to the daily energy prayers on YouTube Live, by the way, they're all recorded. You can watch them. They're all live streamed. I think it became very aware to those of you who came regularly what these 15, 20 minutes a day, what they can do for us, how they can bring sanity back to us. And it wasn't even, I mean, there's a sort of a 5-minute grounding and breathing part to it, but it wasn't even about that. It was about sort of realigning, our head, our mind, and our heart, both of it, bringing it back into coherence. And that's what happens when we go into this active sacred self-healing every day. That's what happens. You realign yourself, and where you could only see lack of fear or loss, you suddenly see abundance, appreciation, gratitude, beauty. That's an ability only the human consciousness has, the human with a consciousness, to take a present moment and turn it into the eternity of a moment. That's what transcendence is. And in that, every crisis ultimately is a healing crisis, is a tool for us to learn how to raise our vibration. Yeah. So here the mantra or prayer or whatever you want to call this, it's part of the November energy alignment that is available to you guys here in the Sacred Self-Healing community and all subscribers. I'm not putting this out on Facebook or publicly on SoundCloud anymore. So just know that, okay, you're gonna have to skim the emails that you get from me. The mantra here for November is, when I can remember that I am an important part of a greater reality beyond my ego's reality, I can feel peace within. Any more comments before I switch into the more secular energy analysis and forecast for November? Did you guys get a feel for November energies already? I'm already speaking with those energies in my heart. Yeah, there's a shift with every month that you can probably feel. So November is really quite spiritual in nature. But obviously the collective, well, I mean, depends on how you contextualize things, right? But the collective is still in unraveling the insanity. Okay, so it'll get to the point where you basically need a spiritual contextualization to even understand what is going on. Yeah, so the energy analysis of November 2020 21 energies here with the alignment, sort of the filtered resonance of new perspectives, is where we go and look at the different kinds of realities here in a month: the physical, emotional, mental, social, spiritual, and energetic realities or density layers of reality. And the theme of the month here in new perspectives has to do with our ability as humans, due to the power of our consciousness, to change our perspective. And when we change our perspective, the options that we can see, they begin to increase. Yeah, our reality begins to expand. And when we can switch, when we can make that a conscious switch of perspective, that's also when we then begin to see things differently, when we have new perspectives and a new perception of things. And so we can conclude that every time we change a perspective, it also changes our perception, and vice versa. Because once our perception changes, you guys all know what that's like with selective perception, for example, then you are also seeing more perspectives, you're seeing more options. Yeah. So the trick with that, and that's almost like the general reminder here for November, is that the ego mind cannot transcend itself, which means this perspective change, yeah, that is necessary for us to be able to contextualize what is even happening in the world, yeah, the craziness that is going on, and the degradation of values, the degradation of integrity, all these the fundamental transformations that are happening right now here in our societies. Yeah, to even be able to contextualize those, we need to make a perspective change. And that allows us to tap into different layers, or higher vibratory, if you will, layers of perception. And this can only happen when we go beyond what our ego can imagine. Beyond what we can imagine. That is basically how we transcend our mind. The first step to even just being able to fathom that is to recognize that our mind is fallible, that there are error perceptions, and that we cannot always rely that just because something is real, that it is true. Okay, because if we have selective perception, yeah, then we can only see that part of truth, and that part of truth out of context, or with all the missing pieces, yeah, with the omission of other facts, may appear as true, yeah, but still not more true than somebody who looks at things from a broader perspective. And that's why seeing the bigger picture, opening up our horizon, and specifically here for you energetically sensitives and empaths, really connecting your trained thinking with your feeling, not your emoting so much. Although in November there's going to be a lot of emotional processing that needs to be reviewed, but it is more to really step into this heart mind, yeah, or mindfulness. I don't like the word that much, guys. Many of you know this. I find it an oxymoron, because it is exactly the mind that I'm trying to silence, yeah, through meditation and contemplation and prayer. So I don't know why this is called mindfulness, because we already have the mindful. It should actually be heartfulness. My first grade students agree with that, because they're already being trained in mindfulness, and they ask this question every year: why is it called mindfulness? Yeah, they don't understand that. And this, just to give you an example here of how perspectives can seriously change our ability to actually see context. Yeah. So simple exercise here with the word mindfulness. Yeah, that is actually leading us into the wrong direction. Some of these new perspectives, and I'll try to keep this really short for you guys because it's such a complex month. So many things. I mean, if you thought that October was this sort of bam, bam, bam kind of month, buckle up, because November, the energies are still rising, they're still building. And I think from an energetic point of view, since I'm an energy healer and energy coach, the most significant part about November energies is that it's a month full of downloads, full of activation. And this activation is, interestingly, an activation that happens on a, if you will, channel on a frequency level that is not really controllable for people from the perspective of their ego minds. They actually need the spiritual contextualization to be able to understand what these downloads are about. It's almost like there's a new radio show going on, and that radio show can only be heard by people who are sort of really trying to connect with their soul and their spiritual reality. Yeah, so that makes November very unique. Obviously, there's a lot of collective things as well, and these collective things, guys, you know, they have to do with this re-evaluation, reassessment, and correction. Those are three words that you can remember here when it comes to these energies in November that you're going to have to deal with, which means, yes, you have to expect that there are things that are maybe unexpected for your mind. You need to expect that things are going to come differently from how you thought they were or they would be. You're going to have to expect that. Yeah, expect the unexpected. Yeah, and then you know, you have a much better sort of armor, okay, for getting through these kind of, you know, rocky and actually really deep energies here for these next 4 to 6 months. One of these new perspectives, and with it also kind of like requirements for you to be able to get through this month without sort of falling into the pit of mass psychosis, is that you need to become aware that you have your own insights, that you have that ability to think freely. Yeah, and as you are really thinking this through, okay, you will realize that what these insights are, what these values are that come out of your insights, that those are worth, I don't say fighting for, because I don't want to mislead you here. This isn't about fighting. This is about standing your ground. This is about you knowing who you are, knowing what you're doing. That's probably the best tip I can give you for November before going into any detail. For all the codependents here and all of us who have a hard time with, you know, sort of balancing, you know, my personal needs with the need, you know, for the greater good or other people. You need to sort of inoculate yourself with, I have the right to have needs. I have the right to wanting to feel safe. Yeah, whether it's financially or physically safe or emotionally safe with a person or a place or a job. You have that right. Yeah, you don't need nobody's permission to want that. You don't need to feel bad if you do something, if you decide something out of your own, you know, to secure your own survival. And this includes your emotional survival. or your spiritual survival, or your, you know, sanity, yeah, your mental survival. Another new perspective is I know that I am a spiritual being, and I know what truth feels like in me. And if you have a lot of practice, then you might find out that truth feels like love. It's calm, it's peaceful. There's no cognitive dissonance with truth. You just feel it. And that's something that requires a little bit of, you know, spiritual training, yeah, and mental discipline. Okay, so we're going to need a lot of that. I'm going to go into detail here. I just really wanted to give you sort of the depth of that month with sharing these new perspectives. I know who I am and I know what I'm doing. And knowing what you're doing doesn't mean that you have to be a pro or that you have to be perfect or the best in everything. No, knowing what you're doing, you know, saying, I know what I'm doing, means that you are conscious, that you have voluntarily and consciously chosen what you're doing. That's what that means. You know why you're doing something, what you're doing it for. You don't have to advertise it and you don't have to convince anybody of it. You just need to know it within yourself. And that confidence, that it's linked to self-worth, it's linked to identity, okay? Can only be found if you can respect your own needs, your own wants, and like this next or last new perspective here that I wanted to share with you, I can honor other people's path, their karma, and their choices, and embrace all learning experiences and challenges that come through them. Yeah, through respecting others and also their choices that appear like mistakes to you. Yeah, everybody has the right to make mistakes. Everybody has the right to have their karma, guys. And by realizing that, even if it is your loved ones, your best friends, or your children, let me say adult children, because with the younger children, that's a little different. But even if it's the people dearest to your heart, they have the right to have their own learning experiences. And through that, through them being in your life, you are going through a learning experience. And that is a very important insight. Yeah, that we need to respect other people's choices. So broken down here, we'll experience challenges on all these different density layers of realities. Yeah, as far as our holistic self is concerned, we're going to be up and going everywhere, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritual, and energetically. Lots and lots of etheric activity, guys. Those of you who are very energetically sensitive, you're going to have to put your tinfoil hats on. It's gonna rattle you. I give you some dates here where it will feel, you know, even heavier than it already does. Yeah, the chakras that are mostly challenged here in November are our second and third chakra. That's our emotional processing and you know, our ego and the control. Yeah, so the limited ego mind and the control that comes to that, which is also the symbolic, basically the limited perspective. All right, and this will be challenged through our emotional processing. There's a lot going on here in the analysis of November. I can tell you that many of us are going to get pulled into their deepest inner child attachments. And interestingly, I do not mean that in the same sense as Sigmund Freud meant that, but it will be linked to mother energies. The mother energies in our lives, how they were modeled and how relationships, relating, giving and receiving and emotional safety, how that feels like for us, because it'll be challenged. Okay, so we're gonna have to dig deep here when we get upset, when we get into fights, or when things feel like an attack to you. Go deeper, guys. Ask yourself what your pain, what your fear, what your anger is about, okay, and what it actually is that you're resisting, and what it's linked to, because we all have this need for fundamental belonging and nurturing, but sometimes we're just projecting it too much on people, and when that happens, we are interfering, we're infringing, even if it's our loved ones. Yeah, and that goes back here to what I just shared about respecting other people's journeys, but it also has to do with us just simply recognizing that you cannot change that for other people. You have to let go. It's a control thing. So that's your solar plexus, your third chakra. Yeah, and then also your fifth chakra, and that is how you bring yourself into expression, into this, how you express that, how you communicate. That communication continued in November. Very, very important. Not as speechless as October was. Many of us felt a little tongue-tied in October. It was very difficult to put things into words. That will be a little easier in November, but we can also go a little too far out with it and have maybe too harsh words, or there's a sharpness to our ability to see things, which is sixth chakra, and our ability to express it, which is our fifth chakra. And the more aligned we are, yeah, with how we truly feel about this, what this truly means for us, this is our fourth chakra, okay, the easier it will be for us to pick those words and to address the things that are important to us in a neutral way, so that it becomes possible for us to negotiate, reassess, and self-correct if needed. So many of you will feel like you have to revisit something in November that was already, that basically came up here in October, and you have to close the deal. November is a bit of a closure to some things, simply due to the fact that there are so many new things that are coming up that we can't really afford to hang on to all these old things. So what are we looking at here collectively? We're looking at sort of quite a lot of different and shocking kind of events, and they have the nature of accidents, or so they appear. That's something, I don't want to bring up specific pictures in your head right now, but things that look like accidents, or that look coincidental, or they look unrelated, but they aren't. But it's just, like I said earlier, no amount of predictions can prepare us for how we are going to perceive the reality as it arrives, okay, when it happens, okay. Our nervous system reacts to things, and it doesn't matter how much you sort of think your way through or try to anticipate what's going to happen. Until it happens, you won't know. And that's why preparation, sort of mental preparation, yeah, I guess you could do this for entertainment purposes, but really what you need to work on is to prepare yourselves spiritually and emotionally, and your nervous system, okay. Know how to breathe through things, know how to calm yourself down when things become overwhelming. Find healthy ways to express your emotions. Don't try to filter them or check out when things get a little iffy. That's how we prepare ourselves for the future. In fact, really, the best way to prepare ourselves for the future is to be fully present in the now, all right, and to deal with reality in real time. Duh logic, yeah, but something that eludes us so many times in our lives, which is why it may lead to unrest and rage, things that are in the air already. So November has more of that sort of coming to forefront. We have seen a lot of revolutions and unrests here worldwide. It's maybe not so aware to us if it doesn't happen in our streets, okay? But I don't know the statistics, but I can tell you that as far as, not just the Western world and not just, parts of the world where we normally don't really look that much, really everywhere, guys, there is a growing body of dissatisfaction with the way things are being handled in the world, and whatever sort of the reasons are, whatever these social awareness issues are, including climate change, and all these things that we've talked about every month here. Yeah. So these things are now coming, they sort of percolating to the surface. They cannot be suppressed anymore. Yeah. There'll be a lot of things that will be, like I've said, that need to be reevaluated, new values, and that may also affect the financial markets, guys. Expect that. I did predict this bull run for cryptos till the November the 20th. So keep an eye on that already, because there's lots of corrections in November. Lots of, crocodile teeth, if you will, if you know what that means, meaning that there's going to be a little bit of a roller coaster, because there are bigger financial movements going on behind the scenes that will lead to a re-evaluation of precious metals, some of the precious metals, and money itself. So please, there's nothing that you can do to prepare other than really have a good sort of diverse portfolio and different pillars. Focus on what you need to feel safe. It doesn't matter how much money you have, guys. This re-evaluation is starting here now in November is so fundamental that some of the things that appear to be as a sort of big gap between people may equal out a little bit, but remember the intrinsic value of things that always have value. That is probably the best way to go for those of you who get a little scared, about, the collapse of the financial markets or something like that. Then if that is your fear, then go focus on intrinsic value. Go evaluate the technology behind or underneath cryptocurrencies, and understand that Bitcoin is not what all this is about. Okay, this is about a triple verification system, a new accounting, a new bookkeeping system that is basically being installed here, that will, for the first time in 500 years, will change how our any kind of transactions, any kind of ledgers, okay, that we keep for anything, all right, would change all of that. Software is going to have to be rewritten. The whole administration of data and so forth is going to have to be rewritten. Everything is going to be reevaluated through that, guys. And there's, of course, a dark side to that as well. Yeah, it's just like with the, double bookkeeping. Yeah, there's aspects to that of course can be misused as well. But overall, we're moving into, sort of a higher expression of what human invention human creativity can bring forward, and we have to go through these phases of transhumanism, yeah, to evolve beyond it. We need that confrontation with untruths, that confrontation with dehumanization, as we are currently going through, all right, to remember the true value. Yeah, remember the true value of being human. Remember the true value of your consciousness, of your ability to freely think, of your ability to freely feel, of your ability to make conscious choices, how you want to experience this life, how you want to show up in this life. It will become more aware to us in this way. Now, the confrontation with untruth, which is sort of my way of saying, mind control and propaganda, that will take on a new turn here in November, because we're running into a little bit of a dead end here as far as like how far these lies can go. And there will be something like a little bit of an admittance, noble lies, as Dr. Robert Malone called it. I love his first principle thinking about the whole COVID situation and the bioethics and so forth. So we'll see some of that, but one of the questions that I am almost, that I'm being asked almost daily is like, oh, will there ever be some kind of like reconciliation or anything, like in the sense of like, hey guys, we made a mistake, and like maybe let's look at this differently, or let's try something new. Probably not, guys. There's usually these things will be kind of shoved away with big distractions. Okay, so these distractions are going to start in November, and I must say, beyond the financial stress, and these other challenges in regards to like these energetic things, etheric things that you're going to feel, that there are quite some shocking things, and you'll see here with the important dates how fast this is going to go. There will be something with the US president, guys, and the US presidency in November. And I am not that well versed in American history as far as all the presidents is concerned. Neither am I versed in presidents of my home country. So, but I do know that this is unusual. We're going to experience something unusual here. And if you remember my predictions for the years of 21, 22, and 23, I have already announced that like pretty much a year ago, that there's going to be something with President Biden, and whether it is that he is not able to finish his term, or basically through unexpected circumstances, forced to prematurely exit. Okay, I do not know that. I don't want to speculate about these things. I'm not channeling things, and I don't want to inject my own sort of stray cats into that. But I do want to let you know that that's actually pretty imminent. This is right there. Okay, very strong field here. I would say probably for you energetically sensitive, most critical, most difficult time is the time between the 11th and 16th of November. That's where we have these really, really strong cosmic energies, planetary constellations that go just like literally bam, bam, bam. And they have a different nature each time. But, you know that I do these weekly energy updates and forecasts where you can get a little more detail as it arises. But, it just feels really stressful in that way, because if you cannot take off from work and engage in hours of sort of meditation to better contextualize that, if you have to function in 3D, then it can be stressful. So and maybe give yourself a little bit of more space in that time. Having a safe space, having that in your own home, you know, to retreat, even if it's just for 5 minutes, for, you know, a moment of silence, or, you know, sort of turning down all the stimuli, or for prayer, is really, really important, guys, for your emotional, mental, psychic, and physical well-being. Okay, this is probably the time here, right around the middle of the month, and that will build. And unfortunately, you know, it will escalate and escalate toward the really, really powerful full moon and the lunar eclipse, 19th, 18th, 19th of November. So we get a bit of a double whammy there. Yeah, so there's a possibility, possible media outages, like sort of the pre-test that we had last month with Facebook not working. You know, these kind of things can indeed have the power to create new realities. So again, then towards the end, announcements in regards to the presidency. Crypto energies I've already mentioned. Caution, you know, toward the end of the month there, guys. Even if things go according to plan, like I've, you know, predicted 5 years ago in regards to cryptos, which they will be, but you know, you guys who are following me in regards to the crypto market since 2016, you know that you know, you have this sort of emotional resilience already, but there is you know, things that are going to come that are just going to be surprising for everybody again. Yeah, and they have to be with revaluing things. Yeah, keep an eye on gold, obviously keep an eye on um, real estate as well. Just real quick here, the sort of personal transformation themes for November. I've tried to weave them into everything that I have already portrayed here. As we go, I'll go a little deeper into this, guys. But there's a really, really cool sort of new beginning energy as well, and this activation that I've talked about that comes in through these downloads. You know, transformations may be uncomfortable, yeah, but once you're through with them, this immediate relief that sets in, and you know, this sort of looking back and like realizing how far you have come, can really, really sort of influence the way you see yourself, and increase your trust in self and your self-worth. Yeah. November will be a month for many of you who have felt a little lost in all these past years, especially obviously in regards to your perspectives, but also in regards to the efforts that you have been putting in trying to build something maybe, and it may have not worked out well, or just sort of so slowly that you wanted to give up, or maybe you've given up a few times already. November is a month where you will finally see that it can pay out. Yeah? So do not take these words as something that is devastating or scary. Take these words as motivation to go into deeper and more active self-healing, guys. These are things that you need to learn. You didn't learn this in school. I didn't. I teach it in school now. I built a whole curriculum around this. I built, you know, for children as well as adults. I have courses, programs. Yeah, go to my website and check it out. But you're gonna have to train this. Yeah? Really take care of your immune system, guys. We still have a health crisis, and that is not just COVID. So please supplement with vitamin D and vitamin C, zinc, and you know, talk to someone who knows things about herbs, you know, naturopathic doctor or an herbalist, and really tune into this. It's fantastic what your environment, your nature, where you live, what it provides for you, sort of as if there's this apothecary right there, okay, at your doorsteps. It's mostly the weeds, in your garden, okay, that have the most potent healing abilities. Yeah, so consult somebody who knows things about herbs and teas and so forth. Yeah, please understand that some of these revelations are not just in regards to like political things or economical things. They're also about healing, and you know, this energy healing and sound healing and all that goes into the direction of vibration, okay, is going to become mainstream. Yeah, so you might want to start taking this a little more seriously. This isn't woo-woo, guys. This is real stuff. Yeah. And some of you asked me, you know, for a little help to work through, you know, sort of becoming able to discern truth a little better and discern between your true self and false self perspective, you know, not really knowing, is this my true self or is this, you know, my ego talking to me? I'm going to include this chart here that you can, you know, use for self-coaching in the email for the recording. And other than that, you know, there's a lot more I can show you here, but I'm just going to keep it short. The antidotes that I produce for every month, just real quick here for new perspectives. You know, this month, really, really strong sort of impulse for correction, for self-correction, voluntary reassessment and correction. And that will allow you to develop a new conviction. It's a lot of this energy in November is about loyalty and faith to your own values, chivalry and higher values, guys. Yeah, and really being faithful to yourself and your higher consciousness, but also about some very 3D things like the financial reality. Yeah, and so self-correcting, reassessing, reevaluating. Those are all aspects of consolidating, yeah, of really sort of weeding out what you don't need and focusing on what has value for you, what makes you feel safe, what you need to not just survive, to thrive, to grow. All right. So November is a fantastic month for starting your new self-growth journey. All you need is a little bit of courage. And that's what people like me are for. You know, coaches, therapists, counselors. Yeah. We help you guys to remember these things that come from within yourself. Yeah. That remind you of who you truly are and what you truly came here for. November is not the time for lack programming, guys. You're going to feel lack and scarcity portrayed in media 24/7. Yeah, and it's very easy to get swept away by that. And it is definitely not the time to go into autopilot and to let your nervous system run your perspectives and your decisions. So be careful here, because November is also a very decisive month. And in that, it can help many of you who have been going back and forth and yeah, bam, okay, just do it, okay. But this can also lead to erratic or, you know, impulsive decisions. So you're gonna have to train that. Yeah. Yeah, that concludes the energy analysis here, the slightly different forecast for the month. I just want to make a quick announcement here that there is a 25% site-wide discount. This is my 10-year anniversary gift to all of you at checkout. So please, if you have been toying with the idea of maybe participating in any of these courses or programs that I have created for you to help you to find a roadmap here on your self-healing journey, this might be a great opportunity, especially those of you who are thinking about the sort of more long-term kind of programs, you know, the year programs that I have. There is the new energy course, the 6-week program. That's a very cool sort of introduction into deeper perspectives It's once a week, every Saturday, where you completely immerse with me and a small group of participants and experience something from within yourself that you have probably never experienced like that before. So take advantage of the 25% discount for everything that you can buy. And I would like to say my thanks and send you my gratitude with these last words that may hopefully resonate with you throughout November. The courage to live truth comes from the courage to love truth. To love truth more than, say, your comfort zone, maybe. Yeah. Continued our live energy prayer on YouTube every Wednesday and Friday, 11:30 a.m. live stream with me doing 20 minutes prayer. Love you guys. See you very soon. Thank you.